Here we're going to look at the output now of the tool, and this is where it really gets interesting, and this is the fun part. So what we have here is 4 boxes. We've uploaded an account which contains 3 campaigns. So you can see them here. The first box here is campaign 1, and then you got campaign 3, campaign 2. Now each box is a campaign, and then the first box is the combined data. So that's the full account. All right. Now let's have a look at the first box, so campaign 1. So we see each plot here is a day, cost versus revenue, and then we see the line of best fit, the non-linear regression line. We can see here the formula for the regression, and then we can see the R squared value, which we'll talk about in a second. Then the tool spits out the ideal or the optimal cost per day. So it's telling you for campaign 1 the optimal cost per day is $21.24, and that will provide a revenue of $136.31, and your ROI at that point will be 541%. Now it's important to note that is not necessarily an actual historical value. That is a point along the line rather than a data point. Okay, so the tool looks at points along the nonlinear regression line. So at any point here we can say your prediction of if you spend the number on the x-axis, $150, you're going to get the number on the y-axis in terms of revenue. Okay, so here's your optimal value, and then you also have this option here if you want to have a look at different cost per day. So let's say, okay, I actually want to see what will happen if I spend $50 a day. So then it's predicting your revenue output will be $253 of revenue, and you'll have 406% ROI. So that's not optimal. As you can see, it's less ROI even though the revenue is higher. So remember, we're looking for optimal ROI, not maximum revenue. Okay, so this is important because you might actually want to go for a higher ROI in some instances. So this part is really great for trying to work out what happens if you spend more or less. You know, what's your prediction going to be? Now we can do the same thing for all the campaigns, and we can do the same thing here for the whole account. So we can see that for the whole account, the optimal spend is $127 a day, and we can look at different values. So we can look what happens if we spend $1,000 a day, right? The ROI is going to go down to 61%, but the revenue is going to be at $16.55, which is obviously much higher than at the optimal spend. Okay, so that's the first use, the first part. Just a note on the R squared value. So R squared is the confidence of the regression, which is actually a measure of how many data points lie along the line. So usually a higher R squared gives us more confidence in the results because more data points sit along the line, but a low R squared, you can take it to mean that there's low confidence, but just because R squared is low doesn't necessarily mean there's low confidence. So low R squared doesn't necessarily mean low prediction power. It's just an indicator that if R squared is higher, that the prediction power is likely to be better. The second part of the tool is this table down the bottom. What this table does is it puts our regression lines against each other. So we got campaign 1, campaign 2, campaign 3. What we can do here is we can click optimize, and what it's going to give us when I click optimize is it's going to give us the maximum ROI. Okay, and that maximum ROI is going to take into account different spends across the different campaigns. So it's going to tell you, in order to get the max ROI here across the account, you should spend $27 on the campaign 1, $10 campaign 3, $72 on campaign 2. Now, not only that, also what we can do is we can start putting in real life scenarios and constraints. So let's say campaign 1 is your brand campaign, and you know that you can't really spend more than $20 a day, so you can put a max constraint there of $20. Let's say campaign 3, you really want to push it and you want to spend $40 a day, and campaign 2, you're not sure you want to leave, so we can add those constraints in and we can optimize. Okay, And again, it'll take into account those constraints, and the ROI will be a little bit less, obviously, because you're not giving it freedom to operate, and that's what you get. You can also add in a total constraint. So let's say, you know what, it's 142. Really, we want to spend $200 a day in the whole account. So let's see how it works with that. So again, it's going to add that in. Now, the last thing also that the tool can do is we can add in an expected improvement percent. So let's say you take on a new account and you say, look, I've looked at the account and I think campaign 2, I'm going to be taking over it and giving it a lot of my time. I think that we can improve it by 10%. Okay, so as you can see, I added that in. You don't need to click optimize, so it's going to give you a slightly better result on that campaign. And let's say, you know, the brand campaign, you've noticed that your brand's been suffering, so you think that it's going to have negative results, so we can decrease it to negative 100%. Or let's make it negative 50%. Okay, and so you can put in what your predictions for the future are as well, based on external influences into the improvement column. Okay, and based on all of that, you can start really using the tool here to come up with some ideas. And again, these are actionable insights because it's telling you exactly what to spend on each campaign. You can jump back into AdWords and plug these straight back into your campaign to get a more optimal result. Okay, you can use all of this data to work out what's going to happen when you spend more money, what's going to happen when you spend less money, and so you have a really great prediction modeling tool here. Now, the same thing is going to happen if we go back to our campaigns and we run this for CPA. So if we run it for CPA, you're going to have the same data. It's just going to be looking at CPA, and it's going to optimize everything for the lowest possible CPA rather than max ROI. Again, here it's going to try and get you the lowest CPA. Okay, I hope that explained it a lot. Anything is not clear, please pop me a question in the support form, and I will endeavor to answer it as quickly as possible.